Hello and welcome back to the Perhaps Mayfield channel. If you're new here, thank you for stopping by and be ready because this is a good show. But before we get started, I have a couple words to say. I wanna give thanks to my supporters, my subscribers on this channel, people that follow me on my TikTok, my Instagram, the members in my Discord. I appreciate all of you, especially my members in the Discord. If y'all weren't there, this video wouldn't even be made. Thank you to all the participants that flew in this air show. So this is a dedication to 4th of July, coming out a little bit later. I do work full-time, not doing content creating, but actually working, so I can't get these out super quick, but I push to make quality and not quantity. So I want my videos, even if they come out once a month or twice, 2 videos a month, I want them to be the best quality I can. So if you have any feedback or constructive criticism, please let me know. I would love to hear what y'all would think I can change. And if you're not learning, you're not growing. So, well, other than that, I won't keep you waiting anymore. If you enjoy this content, like, subscribe, and definitely put in the comments because that is appreciated. So let's get into Wings Over War Thunder. Freedom rings. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today is the most spectacular event known to man. This is Wings Over War Thunder. Freedom rings. Today we're gonna have spectacular performances. Some of them F-16 Falcon, F-16 Viper, F-15 Strike Eagle, A26 A20 formation, Cobra Duo, and many more here at Wings Over War Thunder. Freedom rings. So stay tuned and get your snacks ready because this is going to be a interesting and quite long video. Let's get right into the first performance, the F-15 Strike Eagle. It begins with power, unapologetic, unrelenting. Born from freedom and forged in fire. This is the F-15E Strike Eagle, the tip of the spear for American air dominance. Capable of speeds exceeding Mach 2.5 and a ceiling beyond 60,000 feet. And with over 23,000 pounds of ordnance, it brings the fight and it finishes it. But the Strike Eagle isn't just a weapon, it's a guardian. A 2-seat, twin-engine multi-role Titan, engineered to strike deep, fast, and with surgical precision. When it took to the skies in Desert Storm, it flew missions no other aircraft could. Night raids, pinpoint strikes, all-weather combat. It returned every single time. Stronger, faster, and more feared. This jet doesn't just fly, it rewrites the rules of the air war. Its radar can track up to 20 targets. It can engage with laser-guided bombs, JDAMs, Sidewinders, AMRAAMs, and more. And in combat, it boasts a near-perfect record, not just in the air, but across battlefields. This aircraft was made in America, flown by warriors, built to protect, to defend, and to win. It doesn't break, it doesn't back down, and on this day of freedom, it reminds the world why the Eagle still soars. The Strike Eagle, precision with power, freedom with wings. Fast, heavy, unstoppable. This is the aircraft that slipped under radar, outran missiles, and delivered precision destruction when the world was watching. The General Dynamics F-111F Aardvark, America's low-level strike hammer of the Cold War. Born for terrain following attacks at Mach 1.2, the Aardvark didn't fly over the battlefield. It tore through it, under the radar, in the dark at treetop altitude. With variable geometry swept wings, it could fly low and dirty, or high and fast, whichever the mission demanded it. And when it needed to leave a message, it could dump fuel from its tank and ignite it with afterburners, and leaving the signature blazing tail of fire stretching for hundreds of feet. A sight so stunning, it became an unofficial symbol of the Aardvark. Nicknamed the Whispering Death, the F-111F delivered precision laser-guided bombs before most fighters could even spool their engines. In Operation El Dorado Canyon, it struck targets in Libya from bases in England, 6,400 miles round trip, proving its global reach and pinpoint accuracy. 2 crew members, twin engines, and a plethora of hardpoints on the wings for any mission. It was a bomber, a fighter, a pathfinder, and a fire-breathing dragon when it wanted to be. The Aardvark flew where others couldn't, struck where others wouldn't, and burned a memory into the sky like no aircraft before it. This is the F-111F. Fire, speed, fury. Some aircraft earn their place in history. Others carve their names into it. And then there's the legend, the monster, the absolute workhorse of World War II, the P-51 Mustang. The P-51D, America's long-range champion of the skies. With its unmistakable Packard-built Merlin engine, it could fly further, faster, and deadlier than anything the Allies had sent before. This one? It's no ordinary Mustang. With a tiger's grin on its nose and battle stripes on its tail, this warbird channels the spirit of the Flying Tigers. Those American volunteers who struck fear into the enemy lines before the U.S. had even officially entered the war. A symbol of aggression, a signal of freedom. A Flying Tiger with a 50 cal bite. Top speed, 440 miles per hour. Range, over 1,600 miles with drop tanks. Armament, 6 50 caliber M2 Brownings, strafing everything from Messerschmitts to Panzer columns. The P-51A was almost scrapped until British engineers suggested pairing it with the Merlin engine. The result? One of the greatest fighters of World War II, a perfect blend of American muscle and British engineering. It flew in every theater. It escorted bombers over Berlin. It fought MiGs in Korea. And it still flies today, restored, revered, and remembered. This is the Mustang. This is a tiger with the wings. And this is what freedom looks like in flight. Let it roar. Before stealth, before satellites, victory on the ground started with courage in the sky. Enter the workhorses, the brawlers, the ones who flew low, fast, and into the fire. The Douglas A20 Havoc and the A26 Invader. 2 generations of American light attack aircraft flying side by side once again. The A20 Havoc was America's first true multi-role attacker of World War II. Fast, nimble, and capable of flying bombing runs at over 330 miles per hour. It served not just in the US hands, but in the RAF, Soviet Air Force, and beyond through the Lend-Lease program. It carried up to 4,000 pounds of bombs, plus nose-mounted machine guns and dorsal turrets. A bomber by title, but a fighter in spirit. And following in its footsteps, the A26 Invader. Designed to replace the A20, the Invader was faster, tougher, and more heavily armed. Top speed on this bad boy was 355 miles per hour. An armament up to 14 forward-firing 50 caliber M2 Browning machine guns, plus bombs, rockets. It served with distinction in World War II, Korea, and even Vietnam. A rare breed. An aircraft that fought through 3 wars and never stopped proving its worth. These aircraft weren't just strike platforms. They were the surgical fist of American air power, capable of blowing bridges, cutting rail lines, and wiping out enemy convoys while flying at treetop level. Pilots nicknamed the A26 the fastest thing with guns in the Pacific. The A20? It flew over 400,000 missions during the war and hit targets from Tunisia to New Guinea. In every formation pass, in every strike, you hear the echo of missions flown by brave crews who never hesitated. These weren't high-altitude giants or stealth machines. They were low, loud, and lethal, and they earned every inch of the sky they flew in. This is the A20 Havoc and its younger brother, the A26 Invader. Both flying together. Twin engines, twin legacies, one mission: freedom. Before the Mustang, before the Thunderbolt, there was the Warhawk. This is the Curtiss P40, one of the most recognized fighters of the early war, and a symbol of American determination when the skies grew darkest. Famed for its work with the Flying Tigers in China, the P40 was America's frontline fighter in the earliest, most uncertain days of World War II. Top speed of 360 miles per hour, 6 50 caliber M2 Browning machine guns, and a nose-art legacy that earned fear before a single shot was ever fired. That shark mouth? It wasn't just paint. It was a warning. The P40 flew in North Africa, the Pacific, China, and across the Soviet front, from dusty desert runways to jungle strips and frozen fields. This aircraft proved it could take hits, land hot, and fight hard. In 1941, the P-40 were some of the only US fighters fast enough to dogfight Japanese aircraft in the early Pacific. And in the hands of the Flying Tigers, they scored an astonishing 296 confirmed victories, often against superior numbers. They weren't the fastest, they weren't the most advanced, but they had teeth, toughness, and the spirit of a nation on their wings. They flew when others faltered. They stood when the outcome was still uncertain. And they earned their place, not just in the sky, but in history. This is the P40 Warhawk, and these three fly for every pilot who gave everything when freedom was still in question. You won't hear it coming. You won't see it on radar. But freedom has a shape, and this is it. The F-117 Nighthawk, the world's first operational stealth attack aircraft. Engineered in secrecy, tested in the desert, unveiled only when the world needed to see what American ingenuity could truly become. This isn't just a warplane. It's a symbol of precision and patriotism, wrapped in the stars and stripes and cloaked in shadow. Its skin, designed to bend radar waves. It's shaped with pure mathematics in its vision. Its mission to strike targets with pinpoint accuracy at night through defense no pilot had dared face before. A top speed of Mach 0.92. Combat debut, Operation Just Cause, 1989. Famous roles, opening wave of Desert Storm, neutralizing Iraq's air defense with 0 losses. Only 64 were ever built, but they changed the battlefield forever. And today, this one soars not in black, but in red, white, and blue, because even shadows serve the light. Though retired in 2008, F-117s were seen flying again as late as 2023. They are still training, still relevant, and still watching. Some jets were built to dominate. This one was built to disappear and deliver victory in silence. But not today. Today it flies loud, it flies proud, it flies free. This is the F-117 Nighthawk, the Freedom Phantom, the star-spangled shadow of the skies. Two fuselages, 2 engines, 2 pilots, but 1 fighter. This is the North American F-82 twin Mustang, a last stand of piston power and the final stand until jet aviation powered the world. Born from the legendary P-51, the F-82 wasn't just a modification, it was a reimagination. A long-range escort fighter with twice the fuel and double the pilots when needed. A top speed of 482 miles per hour. A range of over 2,200 miles across oceans, across continents. An armament of 6 50 caliber M2 Browning machine guns and up to 25 rockets or bombs. And if the pilots were lucky, they got a secondary pod with 8 more 50 cals. Built to escort the B-29 Superfortress deep into enemy territory, the F-82 was ready for missions no other fighter could reach. But World War II ended before it could even serve. Instead, it found its legacy in a new conflict, the Korean War. On June 27th, 1950, the very first aerial kill of the Korean War was scored by an F-82, downing a North Korean Yak-11. That moment didn't just mark the beginning of the war, it marked the start of American air supremacy in a new era. Though a propeller-driven aircraft, the F-82 outlasted early jets in some roles due to its range, reliability, and heavy loadout. It flew radar-equipped night fighter versions and operated in extreme weather when jets were grounded. The F-82 was the last of its kind, but the first of its class. A bridge between two worlds, the piston and the jet, the old war and the new fight. And today, it flies in tribute to that rare spirit, when innovation didn't just advance, it dared. This is the F-82 Twin Mustang. 2 hearts, 1 purpose, unbreakable freedom. 2 nations, 1 jet, and countless missions. This is the F-16 Fighting Falcon, flown here today by the F-16C, Block 50, and the iconic F-16A Nets of the Israeli Air Force. Sleek, agile, and deadly, the F-16 wasn't built to blend in, it was built to dominate. The F-16C represents the latest U.S. multi-role evolution of the Falcon, equipped with advanced radar, precision weapons, and digital systems. Top speed of Mach 2, G limits of 9 Gs, combat radius over 500 miles, and beside it, the F-16 Nets, the Israeli Air Force's first line of defense and offense since 1980. On June 7, 1981, the F-16 Nets made history, flying deep into Iraqi airspace to destroy the Osirak nuclear reactor in Operation Opera. A one-way mission, no air refueling, low-level penetration, and perfect execution. It was the first time an F-16 had ever seen combat, and it won. Nets aircraft flew hundreds of air-to-air kills, including downing MiG-21s, MiG-23s, and Su-22s in intense dogfights across the Middle East. Today, the F-16C carries the legacy forward, delivering smart weapons, flying seed missions, and defending skies across the globe. It's flown by over 25 nations, built in over 4,600 units, and still rules the skies after more than 40 years of service. From the Middle East to the homeland, from single-seat target strikes to modern air dominance, these two aircraft represent more than just technology. They represent trust, heritage, and the unwavering spirit of freedom. This is the F-16 Nets. This is the F-16C. This is the Falcon, built to fight, flown to win. Some warbirds soar with grace. Others charge like tanks with wings. Get ready for two of the most unconventional fighters of World War II, the Bell P39 Air Cobra and its brawnier sibling, the P63 King Cobra. Most fighters put the engine up front, but Bell didn't listen to the conventional when making the Cobras. The P39's Allison V1710 engine sits behind the pilot, driving a long shaft to the nose-mounted propeller. The result? A perfectly balanced platform with a 37mm cannon firing through the spinner. That's right, a tank killer in the sky. Top speed, 376 miles per hour. Armament, one 37mm cannon and two 50 calibers plus optional wing guns and bombs. Now the P39 didn't come with a standard canopy. The pilot entered through Oldsmobile car doors on the side of the canopy. The P63 King Cobra took the daring design and amped it up. Better engine, heavier armor, and faster speeds. Now the P63 screamed at 410 miles per hour. The same 37mm cannon, but improved agility and high altitude performance. Though neither served widely with US combat forces, they became legendary on the Eastern Front, where Soviet pilots flew them with devastating effect. The Soviet Union received over 4,700 P39s and P63s via the Land-Lease program, and in their hands, they claimed hundreds of air-to-air kills, including German Bf-109s and FW-190s. They called it the Little Cobra with the Big Bite. Together, the Air Cobra and the King Cobra proved that sometimes innovation defies expectation. These weren't high-altitude escorts. They were low-level wrecking balls used for ground attack, interception, and point defense with stunning success. In the hands of American engineers, perfected in the hands of the Soviet aces, these warbirds remind us that every weapon has its moment when the mission demands boldness over convention. This is the P39 Air Cobra, and this is the P63 King Cobra. And this is what happens when innovation takes flight. It's the most versatile fighter jet in the free world. It's flown by more than 25 nations, seen combat on every continent, and trained more fighter pilots than any other aircraft in history. It's fast, it's fierce, and it's here to show you exactly why it's called the Viper. This is the General Dynamics F-16C Fighting Falcon. Built around the pilot, the F-16 was the world's first fly-by-wire fighter, meaning the stick you see in that cockpit doesn't move the plane with cables, it sends digital commands to the flight surfaces, lightning fast and surgically precise. That's why the Viper can pull 9Gs without breaking a sweat, and perform turns tighter than nearly any fighter flying today. Top speed of Mach 2.05, thrust to weight ratio over 1:1. Weapons payload of over 17,000 pounds, being able to carry bombs, missiles, cannons, and everything in between. The Viper's bubble canopy gives 360-degree visibility, and with no framing over the pilot's head, it's like flying a glass bubble at Mach 2. In air-to-air combat, the visibility is life or death. In a demo, it's everything. From Desert Storm to today, the F-16 has flown in nearly every US conflict for the past 40 years. It struck terrorist compounds, intercepted hostile jets, and defended skies from NATO to the Pacific. And it's not done yet. New upgrades mean this bird is staying in the fight until the 2040s, smarter, faster, and more lethal than ever. It's an American icon. It's a pilot's dream, and it's a symbol to every enemy of freedom that we're watching, and we're ready. This is the F-16 Fighting Falcon, the Viper. Lethal, loyal, and legendary. It's fast, it's agile, and it's one of the most underestimated fighters of the Cold War. This is the Northrop F-5 Freedom Fighter. Lightweight, low profile, and absolutely lethal. Designed in the late 1950s, the F-5 was Northrop's answer to a simple question. How much fighter can you pack into the smallest frame possible? The result? A jet that weighs half as much as the F-4 Phantom, but can climb faster, fight harder, and outlast the odds. A top speed of Mach 1.6, twin GE J85 engines, and packing two 20mm cannons, air-to-air missiles, and ground attack capabilities. But the F-5 wasn't just about numbers. It was about access, offered to American allies around the world to bolster freedom wherever it was threatened. It served in over 30 nations, flew in combat across Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and Latin America, and it proved itself as reliable multi-role platform from jungles to deserts and back home. It even was in the famous movie Top Gun, being named the MiG-28, even though it played a MiG-28 in the movie Top Gun, as it served as a Top Gun adversary jet, playing the role of the MiG-21 in the DACT, Dissimilar Air Combat Training, teaching generations of US fighter pilots how to fight and survive. Its tiny radar cross-section, blistering acceleration, and razor-sharp handling made it one of the few aircraft that could sneak up on the F-15 in mock combat. Some fighters make headlines. This one makes aces. From Vietnam to Viper training, from real war to red flag, this is the Northrop F-5, the little jet with the big punch, the Freedom Fighter. They were built to fly fast, to fight hard, and to carry freedom on their wings from the decks of American carriers to the skies over the Middle East. This is the FA Crusader and the A4 Skyhawk. 3 jets, 3 combat legends, 1 moment in flight. First off, the Crusaders. The Vought F-8U-2 was the last US Navy fighter designed with guns as its primary weapon. Nicknamed the last of the gunfighters, it was a hot rod with wings, powered by a single Pratt & Whitney turbojet that pushed it to Mach 1.86. Armament, 4 20mm cannons, sidewinders, and bombs. Carrier capable and combat proven over Vietnam. The FA pilots had one of the highest kill ratios of Vietnam War, over 19-1 in some squadrons, and flying with them today, an icon, an American air superiority, and flying in the Israeli colors, the Douglas A4 Skyhawk. Tiny, fast, and lethal, the A4 was known as the Scooter, but there was nothing small about its combat legacy. It flew over 100,000 sorties for Israel, facing MiGs, SAMs, and overwhelming odds during the Six-Day War, Yom Kippur War, and Operation Peace for Galilee. Top speed of 670 miles per hour, payload over 8,000 pounds of bombs, rockets, and missiles. So simple and efficient it didn't even need a ladder. Pilots just stepped onto the wing. These jets weren't just machines. They were symbols of deterrence, strength, and sheer flying skill. From dogfights over Vietnam to lightning raids over Sinai. These aircraft flew in defense of freedom, from the high seas to the hostile deserts. 3 jets, 2 flags, 1 sky. This is the F-8 Crusader and the Israeli A-4 Skyhawk. Legends of firepower forged in flames of history. Born in the late 1970s from lessons learned in Vietnam and a need for flexibility at the sea, the Hornet was the first U.S. Navy aircraft designed from the start to do it all. Fighter and attacker in one airframe, a top speed of Mach 1.8, a G limit of 7.5 Gs, and a combat range of 1,250 miles. Weapons loadout consisted of sidewinders, AMRAAMs, JDAMs, harpoons, and a carry capacity of 17,000 pounds of bombs and missiles. Whether dogfighting above the Persian Gulf, striking hardpoints in the Balkans, or intercepting over the open Pacific, the FA-18A proved it could launch from a carrier, hit the target, and bring its pilots home. In 1986, FA-18As from the USS Coral Sea flew the first ever combat missions for the Hornet, striking Libyan air defense in Operation El Dorado Canyon flawlessly. And it didn't stop there. From the Gulf War to Operation Iraqi Freedom, the Hornet flew tens of thousands of sorties, proving its value as a true multi-role warrior. This jet became the backbone of Navy and Marine Corps squadrons for over 3 decades, until finally handing the torch to the Super Hornet and the F-35. But the original? She's still flying, still training, still thrilling crowds, and breaking the silence of peaceful skies with the voice of freedom. Fast, fierce, and forged by the sea, this is the FA-18 Hornet. The multi-role pioneer, the carrier catapult, the sting in the Navy's strike. This helicopter doesn't roar, it whispers. And by the time you hear it, it's already gone. This is the RAH-66 Comanche, an aircraft so advanced it was classified before it was even built. Designed in the late Cold War for stealth, speed, and precision, the Comanche was the US Army's dream machine for the 21st century warfare. Stealth helicopter, digital cockpit, composite body, radar absorbing skin, all packed into one frame that moved like a ghost. Top speed of 175 knots. Range over 1,200 miles. Radar cross-section of less than that of a small bird. It carried a 20mm chain cannon and internal bays for Hellfire missiles and Stinger air-to-air rockets. The Comanche's blades were designed with active noise cancellation, allowing it to sneak into contested territory undetected. It could even hide its weapons internally to reduce radar signature. It could fly nap of the earth. terrain hugging through mountains and forest, performing silent observation, designating targets for long-range strike forces, and if needed, striking first. But despite over $7 billion in development, the prototypes that flew like science fiction come to life. The world changed, and the Comanche never entered mass production. What you're seeing today is a vision of what almost was. An aircraft so advanced, it belonged to a war that hadn't happened yet. But its technology lives on, in modern drones, in stealth fighters, in the systems flying right now protecting our skies. This is the AH-66 Comanche, a whisper in the rotor wash, a shadow in the future, and a legacy of innovation unflown but never forgotten. It's low, it's slow, it's built like a tank, and it's everyone's favorite sound on the battlefield. This is the A10 Thunderbolt II, but you know it by its true name, the Warthog. Born from the battlefield itself, the A10 was designed for one mission: close air support. To protect the troops, to loiter over the fight, to take hits and give more back. With a top speed of 425 miles per hour, a combat radius of 600 miles, and a payload up to 16,000 pounds of bombs, missiles, and rockets. And right there in the nose is its crown jewel, the GA-8 Avenger, a 30mm 7-barreled Gatling gun capable of firing 3,900 rounds per minute. Designed to rip tanks apart, and when it fires, you don't hear the gun first, you hear the sound of everything after it's been hit. That cannon that's fitted in the nose of the A10 is longer than a Volkswagen Beetle and makes up 16% of the aircraft's total weight. And that titanium bathtub the pilot sits in has saved countless lives. Because this jet doesn't run from the fight, it circles it. In Iraq, Afghanistan, and Kosovo, the A10 has flown over thousands of combat sorties, often from makeshift runways, in sandstorms, snow, or worse. It flies when others can't, and it fights where others won't. No stealth, no speed records, just pure function, brutal survivability, and dedication to those on the ground. This is the A10 Thunderbolt II, an angel of the battlefield, the from above, the Warthog. Now grab your tissues, ladies and gentlemen, for our final performance. This is going to be a tearjerker. One made its name over Europe, escorting bombers through flak and fire, fighting for liberty in the skies of a world at war. The other soars today, faster, sharper, and sleeker, defending the skies of a new world in a new age. Together, they fly as one. This is the United States Air Force Heritage Flight. And this beautiful performance is your heritage flight of Wings Over War Thunder. Freedom rings.
May the greatest glory be reserved for the colors they so bravely serve. Keep them flying, so that all who see them
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the show for this month. I hope you enjoyed. I definitely did, and I know all of the pilots enjoyed flying in this month's air show, especially since we did this for the 4th of July. I hope you enjoyed all the performances and had pride in your country for where you live. As for your history, never forget what many generations before you have sacrificed for your freedom. Even to play a game like War Thunder, if they didn't fly, we wouldn't be flying right now. The freedom, the sacrifice they gave, the lives that were lost, give us the opportunity to make these performances and events happen. And I'm definitely not going to waste any time to get the patriotic history and the love of my country to the younger generation. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, drop a comment, and hit the subscribe button to never miss another video from my channel. Y'all have a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and I'll see y'all in the next flight.